ideal loadout this season is going to be. So we're going to do another 2-gun loadout like we typically do. Let's start off with our close range option. Now, we spent day 1 experimenting with all the shotguns in the game, and for the most part, I'm kind of unimpressed with all 3 options. And after like really thinking about it, I may run a spray weapon for my close range option, but that's to be determined. What I did settle on for my first day was the Sentinel pump, was kind of like where I just, went to. So that was fine. It's an okay shotgun. It's good enough. It's serviceable until I can find a better, consistent close range option. Then I will switch it out. But for the time being, we're going to use the Sentinel pump. The auto was like kind of what I first tried, and I just didn't really vibe with it that much. And the shooting in the way that the Oni hits is great and all, but like the 2 shots I just don't vibe with either. So we're going to run with the Sentinel for now. And I'll just give you guys a preview. Like I may even go as crazy as running the Fury AR as my close range option. And I know it's really weird to run an AR as my close range option because for our second gun, our mid to long range option, we are going to absolutely be running the Hollow Twister. Or for the rest of this video, I will be referring to it as the single mag AR, mainly because it reminds me very, very much so of the twin mag AR. Just in case you guys were not here during last chapter 4, season 4, when the twin mag was here, it was basically a very good heavy hitting AR hit scan. It had about a 1.2 to 1.3x hollow scope on it. I'm not exactly sure, but it shot at 5.4 bullets per second, and it was just great to beam people with. Now we have this new gun that has a 1.3x hollow sight, and it has a rate of fire of 5.55, and it shoots really hard and it hits really heavy. So this gun really feels exactly like the twin mag without the twin mag feature. So we're going to simply call it the single mag going forward because I don't really like the name Hollow Twister, honestly. That little scoped SMG is very cool too. So I forget what it's called. It starts with a V, but I like that gun too. It only has 21 bullets in the clip. However, it is very accurate. So I like that gun a lot as well. So if you can't find the Twister / the single mag, then go with the scoped SMG. From there, to fill out the rest of our loadout, we want the Void Mask if possible. We're going to break down in a little bit exactly how the Void Mask works, but without a doubt, it is the best mobility that you could possibly have this current season. The second thing that I definitely want to be filling out the rest of my loadout would be the Typhoon Blade. I like the mobility, I like the combat potential, and I just think it's a great item, very versatile to have. So Typhoon Blade, very cool. Yes, please. We will go over that one as well a little more. I'm just kind of giving you a brief overview of what we want our loadout to be. We want shockwaves at the very least, so if we can't get either of those two, we want to at least have shockwaves. They're about, we'll talk about floor loot and spawn rate and this and that. They're about a 7.5% chance from what we can tell as to how much you get them out of chests, and about a 1.8% chance to get them out of floor loot. So they're not super rare, but they're not super common either. But we want to at least try and find some shockwaves if we can't find the other two. And even if we can find the other two, having shockwaves on deck is still very nice to have. If you can't find any of that, I mean, there's bunkers and bushes kind of all over the place. So like you really can pick up some form of utility. I just prefer to have, mobility, of course, as my utility. Then we've got the sprites. There are 2 sprites on the map right now, like the little ghost one. I don't know where I read this, or if I don't think I thought of this, but I'm pretty sure I saw someone in chat of someone's stream calling the white one, the ghost, the wind one, the movement one, Walter. So I'm gonna call him Walter. He looks like a little Walter. So Walter, the one that can do a rift, not a rift, a launch pad like effect. That one I think is like probably the better one to carry, obviously if you're trying to traverse the map, but in terms of an actual fight, it's not gonna really help you, I would say. The other one, the blue ones, I don't know the names for these things, so I don't know what it is. The blue one just looks to me like it would be named a Slurpee, so I'm gonna call it Slurpee. So the Slurpees are okay, as a 5th item if you can't find anything else. The last thing that I would consider carrying would be the Fire Mask. I think the Fire Mask is also like an okay item, and it's worth carrying if you can't find anything else. The current meta, day 1, revolves entirely around the single mag. Who gets the first shot and pushing quickly after that? It's very much so, I would say the time to kill has definitely gotten a little bit lower. Like people are dying quicker for sure because this gun is very, very quick to kill people. So right now, I'm typically finding myself opening fights up by putting like, 100 to 200 damage on people, where before, last chapter, it was not quite as devastating of opening damage. So the meta really is, position yourself well, try to sneak up around your opponents and just blast them with this single mag, and you really can get quite a bit of damage. Then push in and just finish people with the, with your shotgun, your close range option, the sword, whatever, or even just hip firing. Honestly, hip firing of the single mag is very, very powerful as well. So like that one gun really can kind of do it all. Also, you are gonna have to watch out for people coming at you with the sword, the Typhoon Blade. The best way to beat it is with a sword of your own. And like a quick course real quick on how to use the sword most effectively would be, you want to use it for for two different purposes. It's great for just moving around the map and for looting and things like that, although I typically don't like to use my charge items because of course it is not an unlimited resource. It will break if you use it enough. I prefer to save those charges for combat. So if you are going to traverse with it, the best way to do it is honestly just sprint a lot and then maybe just do the jump, double jump. Now there are some like glitchy ways that you can kind of mess around and like glide and fly with it, but we're not going to talk about any of that today. We're just going to go like basic movement is going to be just, I would say keep it kind of standard, maybe jump, double jump, slide, try to maintain your momentum as much as possible and use as little sprint, even as extra than you normally would, because every time you use your mobility, your sprint, you are going to be using some stamina on this blade. The combat, however, now the combat for this thing is really cool. So and at first I was very confused as to kind of like how to even use it, you know. In a couple clips you'll see, I was only just, you know, running into people and attacking them with just, you know, the fire button because that's what it just kind of seemed like you would do with it. And that can work. And like just a quick tip, if you are going to do that type of play, make sure that you're aiming to like the side of your opponent. So put the reticle more to the side of where your enemy is and not directly in the middle of them. And what this will allow you to do is to kind of like swipe your blade and hit them while simultaneously moving past them. If you don't do this, if you put your reticle in the direct center, you're going to swipe your blade kind of like right into them. And as a result, you get kind of like stuck. You don't pass directly through your opponent. You get kind of stuck into them. That makes you very easy to hit, very easy to get shotgun, very easy to get sprayed. So you don't want to do that. The power of this blade comes from when you are moving and attacking, moving and attack. So that's the first way to do it. You want to aim to the side, of course, not too far to the side because you don't want to actually miss your opponent, but far enough to the side of your opponent that you're going to hit them and move past. I have actually two clips right here that I'm going to try to put, you know, line up with my voice right now. It's always tough to do this, but one clip, I kind of shoot at this guy who's at the altar and then I push him, but then at the very end, you know, and it worked out because I already had damage on him, I just kind of like blade right into him and I don't really go past him and I take some damage. Where this other clip here, we're over at, I want to say Shogun's, and I clean up this one girl and then we see footsteps over here. You know, I'm waiting for my overshield to come back and then I jump up and kind of get down on this Snoop Dogg here. But as you notice here, my blade, I'm kind of like moving past him while I'm hitting him. So I'm nowhere near as easy to hit in this example. And both of these were kind of like complete accident. Like I wasn't really thinking at the moment. I'm just like, oh, let's kind of go and hit them. But looking back now, it's very obvious which way I should be swiping. In addition to that, there is also an aerial attack with this blade. And you know, there's two aerial attacks really. I mean, there's an aerial attack and then there's an attack, a charge attack with the aim down sight button that you can do either on the ground or in the air. So what I've found, and I'm going to include a couple clips right here as well, is the best way to use this aerial attack is to sprint, jump, and then hit the fire button. And you spam this. So you go sprint, like in this exact order, you click these buttons: sprint, jump, attack, sprint, jump, attack, sprint, jump, attack. And that is infinitely reusable until, sorry, I shouldn't say infinitely, obviously. That is reusable. Like there's no delay after it until your stamina runs out. Now, there is the charge attack. The charge attack is on a cooldown. It's kind of like a dash. So I believe that's a 10-second cooldown. And that one you kind of have to mix in at various times. I'm thinking, because, you know, this is still day one and I haven't really gotten to mess with this totally, but I'm, you know, theory crafting here and I have played with it in game and it is very strong for sure. But you want to make sure that you are kind of chipping away at your opponent with the aerial attack, you know, jumping up, attacking down, jumping up, attacking down. And then to finish them off, I want to say the charge attack might be a good way to do it. Or you can just jump up and then switch to a shotgun, switch to an AR. There's a lot of options, but I think that the jump, double jump kind of, I keep calling it a double jump. It's not a double jump. It's just a really high jump when you do the sprint jump with the blade. You go very, very high. You can immediately switch after too. There's no switch delay whatsoever. So I like the blade and switching around a lot. I think it's very, very strong. Okay, Void Mask. Very, very important. So here are the details from all the testing that I've done to find out exactly everything that I can. So this thing does not work off of a timer. At first, when I threw the void ball, I was like, when does this disappear? Like, how does this work exactly? No time limit. I have on screen right here a clip of me just kind of standing next to it and just waiting, be like, when is this going to go away? I waited for almost 2 minutes, did not go away. How you get this thing to go away is either you, of course, use it, or you go too far away from it. The exact distance at which the void ball will disappear is a whopping 180 meters. So you can literally get up to 179 meters away from this thing, and it will remain pinged on your screen. Although I do recommend pinging next to it manually if you're really trying to keep track of where the void is, you know, if you're trying to go max distance, which you really shouldn't need to, but you can go 179 meters and then void back to where you left it. So it really is a very incredible tool. There is also, of course, no fall damage if you activate it midair. You can activate it any time after you throw it. And, you know, once again, this is another item to like the blade where you can switch out of it. So you can throw it next to somebody, switch into your shotgun. You can throw it into midair, switch into, say, like the fireball or, you know, any other gun that you want to shoot down on. Also, this took me a little while to realize, but you can spam the void balls at the rate of 1 per second if you want to kind of like juke your opponents in where and when you're going to actually teleport. So you can just, you know, on screen right now, I'm going to have another clip, you know, I'm throwing these all around and the charge on them doesn't actually go away until you teleport to it. So you can throw the ball as many times as you want, but only when you teleport will you actually lose a charge on your item itself, making this just a very powerful play. So anytime I actually want to go one direction, what I think I'm going to do is throw a void ball like in a complete opposite direction, especially if I think people are nearby me, to try and juke them out. You know, make them turn their head to the left if I want to, you know, let me rephrase, make them turn their head south if you want to throw it west, basically. Just kind of get their camera off of you, and then you could probably really easily sneak this by, because once again, you can throw them 1 per second. So you can throw it, kind of maybe let it go over a hill or behind something, and it's not going to be obvious that it disappeared and that you can throw another one. They're going to be looking for that spot. You know, right now, at least for myself, it's very natural to, if you see someone just throw a void ball, just kind of like look in that little area and like wait for them to try and teleport out there and then just beam them when they do. Now, this is the best item in the game, for sure. The best mobility, you know, I mean, not best gun, of course, it doesn't do any damage, but this is the best mobility / utility item in the game. But we are not going to base our entire strategy around it because there are only a limited number per match. You know, they can be found in the regular chests, the rare chests, the god chests, and from a couple of bosses, so we should be getting them often enough, but I didn't want to base our entire strategy off like dropping down and trying to get one of these immediately. So I have distinct images of the entire loot pool, and what I'm going to do right now is post them on screen while I'm talking about them. We're going to start with the floor loot, and I'm getting these from Osirian.gg's Discord. So I've talked about Osirian before. They are an incredible site. The link to their Discord will be in the description. So if you guys want to join their Discord and grab these images for yourself, because I can't put the full image on screen, obviously it's a video, and you know, I'm recording the audio separate from the video, so it's hard for me to, you know, scroll when I'm, you know, matching my audio up with this. So if you want clear images of everything, you know, to see every little percentage, go to Osirian's Discord and you can get these images from yourself. They have like a little section called Loot Pool. It's just under their community tab. And I'm just going to read to you guys the most important things that I've found here, and then I'm going to show you that, you know, these numbers are a good baseline, although don't take them as like 100% gospel, because I have found inconsistencies in the past, and I will show you an inconsistency that we have currently with these numbers. Okay, so starting with floor loot, as always / typical, I usually see it this way. You can't get anything above a blue weapon, but you can basically get, you know, blue shotguns, the SMGs, ARs, all that good stuff. You are able to find shockwaves. They are at a very low 1.75% chance to spawn on the floor, and then bunkers and big bushes, big bush bombs, if you combine those two percentages, they're above 5%, so you'll kind of be seeing those everywhere, honestly. Big pots and minis are very easily found, kind of all over the place, so once again, that's great. You know, everything's just kind of standard for the floor loot. You know, we've got the guns. I mean, I'm not going to go over every gun in this video necessarily, like I'm kind of giving you my overall general preferences. We will do a deeper dive breakthrough with the stats from, once again, Osirian in a later video, like I've done with the shotguns in, you know, when we did the chapter 2 remix video maybe a couple of videos ago. So we'll definitely break these down further, but for now we're just doing a general overview. All right, in chests, now this is a big one. So in chests, it says there's a 7.5% basically chance that you can find shockwaves. That's huge. About a 3% chance to find the Typhoon Blade, also huge. And then combine the two masks, fire and the void, another 3% chance to find those out of just regular chests. Now I've found that this is a little bit more even consistent than I would have expected. So these numbers might even be like a little bit bigger, or maybe I'm just very lucky, but I've definitely been finding a fair amount of blades from just regular chests. And of course, with regular chests is when you can start getting more rare weapons. You can start pulling purple and gold, although those chances are very rare. Seemingly, as always, we still have a 50% chance to grab 9 gold from the chest, or a 50% chance to get nothing from a rare chest, a blue chest, or a shiny Pokemon, as I call it. You now have a 9% chance to get a Typhoon Blade, still about a 7.5% chance to get shockwaves, but now a 9% 50% chance to get both masks as well. So that's very, very nice. And you're really only getting purple and gold weapons at this point as well. And also, to not like dilute these, you aren't getting bunkers and you aren't getting bushes. So that was one thing that I wanted to talk about kind of overall too. Like, I guess this is a great time to just kind of throw this little aside / opinion in here. The loot pool right now is really nice because there's not a ton of stuff in here. There's only like 9 weapons total, I believe, if you include the fire mask as like a damage dealing weapon. There's only 9 weapons in the entire loot pool right now. And if you look at like rarities and such, you know, the bush bombs are blue rarity and the bunkers are green rarity. So when you open up a rare chest, there's just not enough stuff to kind of put in there to make it so you're not getting very good things. You know, of course you can get bandages and, you know, big pots and things like that, but you have a 7% chance, so 7.5 for shockwaves, 9 for the typhoon. If you add those two together, it's practically going to be 17. And then you get almost, you know, call it 19% chance, no, 18% chance from the 2 masks. So 17 plus 19 or 18 is about 35% chance to get something really good out of a blue chest. That's great. I love that. Out of the advanced ammo crates, you now have we're back to a 100% chance to get shield potion minis. Perfect. Thank you. Amazing. Like, that should have been the way the whole time. Never should have changed that. Thank you. Fishing spots. I don't really fish, but shield fish seem like they are back in. So not only do we have the fishing spots where shield fish, floppers, and all that stuff are back in, but the coolers, I've noticed a lot of the shield fish coming out of, and floppers and all that. So definitely pay attention to the coolers. Shield fish are back to being a prominent healing item. Also in the fishing spots, you know, you can get like all the guns and such like as you typically could, but mainly I would say it's about the shield fish and the floppers. The 2 bosses. So you have the Night Rose Medallion that's over up by the Demon's Dojo. That will drop not only the medallion, which I believe the only feature that it has is it will reload your weapon automatically. The only caveat to that is you need to have your weapon selected. It won't just reload any weapon. You need to have it chosen. But it's actually pretty cool because you can just tap fire a lot of guns and it will reload and you will never run out of ammo if you fire the weapon slow enough. So it's not amazing, but it's kind of cool. So if you go to that POI, you'll also get the, what is it called? Okay, the Veiled SMG. You get the Veiled SMG, the mythic, and then the mythic version of the Void Mask, which gives you 50 charges as opposed to the 15 that you would normally get from just a purple rarity mask that you find out of chest. Another quick just aside such opinion that I want to throw in here is this is one reason why this season is so good so far, is because these really powerful things that you can find kind of anywhere. You don't need to just drop in these very specific locations to get these. So I'm really enjoying that so far. Second boss would be the Shogun boss. This is the one that spawns at the top of Loot Islands, we'll call them now. You know, there are 5 islands now, not just 1. So it spawns on like the main island, but it can jump around to all of them depending on like where you go if you start the fight. This will drop the Shogun Medallion. This gives you infinite stamina, and when you are running, it will kind of like give you a flashing effect of invisibility. So you will not be completely invisible, but you won't be completely visible either. You'll actually go in moments of being very, very invisible, but then you will then kind of turn back to kind of like a shadowy, foggy type figure. It's cool. The stamina is really why you would do it. But if you do have the Typhoon Blade, which you also get with this, you get the Mythic Typhoon Blade when you knock out the Shogun boss at the islands, that makes you move very fast and very evasive, and it is kind of hard to see you. So that is a nice little combo. It does also drop the Mythic Fire Mask, which is, the Fire Mask, just to say real quick, is not like that great. So you're probably not going to see this too much, but this one does give you 16 charges instead of the normal 8. So similar to the Void Mask, it will just give you increased charges. Okay, then we have the 2 shrines. We have the Water Shrine and the Air Shrine. I think there's like a ground or an Earth Shrine as well. I was not able to find any of those in game today, nor was I able to find any data on them. So we're only going to talk about the 2 that I know about, the Water and the Air Shrine. So these are they're not different shrines. I'm sorry, I made them sound like they're different. They're all the same, but depending on if you give a water sprite or a wind sprite to the shrine is what you will get back. So if you give a wind sprite to the shrine, you will get back a wind boon. We'll talk about the boons in a second, but the boons are guaranteed when you drop the sprite into the altar. And then you will also get a purple weapon, and it says you're going to get shockwaves every time from the wind. I will take their word for that. It says 4 guaranteed. I do remember at one point getting 4 today. I can't tell you if it's guaranteed every time though. Then from from the water shrine, you are able to once again get any, well, not, it calls it a water shrine, that's why I'm calling it that. But from the water sprite that you drop at a shrine, you can once again get any purple weapon. And it says you can get the submachine gun too, like the old school submachine gun, which is really, really weird, like within all these weapons. So that's odd. And then, you know, some heals. But the big thing that I really wanted to talk about that's like kind of boon related as well would be the elemental chest. So the elemental chests have on their image right here, it's a little bit messed up. So basically it shows you that you can get any blue weapon, which is absolutely correct. And then it shows you that you're kind of guaranteed to get a boon and you're guaranteed to get a mask. That is not true. Somehow these percentages got messed up along the way. What it really is that you are guaranteed to get a boon or a mask. I'm not sure the percentage breakdown of either or, but I've gone to many of these chests, and I'll try to have some clips on screen right now, me doing this, you know, just in a a custom game, and I never got a boon and a mask at the same time. And on top of that, boons were far more common from what I noticed than masks. Like, I was getting boons at like a 4, 5, 6-to-1 ratio of getting masks, to the point where I didn't even really know that you could get masks out of the chests until there was one game earlier today where I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't get a boon out of that chest. That was weird. I wonder where it went. And now I'm looking back and it's like a mask probably came out of that chest and I just didn't, you know, think to put 2 and 2 together. So these are not 100% accurate in terms of numbers right now. Okay, so let's talk about these boons real quick. I'm just going to break them down very, very simply. Water boon gives you health in water up to 100 whites and 75 shield. Very good, probably the best one, honestly. So that's the one that I typically go for first. If you can't get that one first, then the wind boon is also excellent. It gives you added movement, either walking or sprinting when you have your pickaxe out. So that's great. The fire boon is only able to be acquired from the chests, from what I can tell. Or does it get dropped from the mask guy? Maybe it gets dropped from the mask guy too. That would make sense. There is like a mask mini boss, you know, running around on the map. Maybe he drops one, because there is a void mini boss running around on the map that does drop a void boon and the void mask. So the void boon will, I'm sorry, I'll talk about the fire one first. The fire one gives you basically the nitro effect on your reload, just quicker reload times on all your weapons, it seems. And then the void boon should give you a ping on enemy knock. So every time you knock an enemy, you should get like a scan effect. So I didn't really get the chance to use that one too much, so I can't tell you how far or how good that is. But overall, if I had to rank the boons, I'd pretty much rank them in the way that I described them. I'd probably go water, wind, fire, void. In terms of usability, I heard some people thinking that the void was like really, really broken. Maybe it is, but for how often you get to use something like that, like, you know, say you get 20 kills in a game and you're like the best player, you are gonna get to use that boon 20 times in a game, you know, tops. Say you are using the water one. I mean, yeah, you're probably not gonna heal 20 times in a game, but just having that option is gonna be so valuable whenever you need it and you don't have heals. And it also lets you run a no heal loadout a lot easier. The moving one with the wind is like, you know, it's okay. Maybe you could swap the moving one and the fire one around, but I think the void one is probably the least useful, but I could see my opinions changing on that very easily. Medallions. So the reload medallion that kind of auto reloads your gun, I also think is kind of like similar. I think that's kind of mid, you know, not really super worth going for. Like, if you're going up there to get kind of all that stuff at the dojo, you're really going for the mask and you're going for the gun, if anything. I would say the medallion is kind of mid. The better of the two medallions is definitely the one that you get on the island, the infinite stamina. Infinite stamina will always be good in a game like Fortnite. You know, if you're the only person on the map that has infinite stamina, that can't be bad. And the invisibility isn't to the point where it's a detriment this time, where with Magneto, it really was a detriment, where there was like a delay when you could bring your gun back out and shoot. It just felt sloppy and just not good. And nobody really liked that medallion, except for in builds, I think it was okay. Overall, the current medallions are fine, and I love that basically because you don't feel like you need to go for them to just be overpowered. There's nothing like Cerberus, there's nothing like the shield healing, there's nothing like Siphon, so we're kind of good right there. Out of the new movement between the leap jump, wall run, wall kick, and landing roll, I would say each are this important. The leap jump is like borderline, you could play a whole day and like not even do it once, because it's just like so random that the times that you're gonna find it useful. I think I did it like once all day where I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. The wall run up, kind of similar. Like, they just didn't really give us a lot of walls to run up, honestly. You know, I don't really know how else to word it. Like, they should have kind of built the map / the POIs with this intention in mind a little more if they wanted us to use the feature. Now, the wall kick is sick. I love the wall kick. I think it's really, really cool. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that after, but I just wanted to just get that out there. I like the wall kick. I think it's really, really cool. The landing roll is probably the best one. And the reason is, from the trailer, they showed us the roll as if it was like a fall damage negation prevention thing, which I believe it is. It does negate at least some bit of fall damage. Like, not a ton, but some. The best thing about the roll, though, is not... See, I thought you could only activate it from like a big height like that. You can activate the roll from like really small heights, and you can do it off of momentum. So say just like little things like if you get off of a zip line, like that little bit of a push that it kind of gives you at the very end there, you can roll after that if you jump before you hit the ground. And I think that's cool. It just adds a nice little bit of fluidity. Now, of course, you could have always slid after, and I'm not going to say that you should always roll, because sometimes, and a lot of times, sliding will get you further. But as a combat option, as a mix-up option, it's nice having multiple things to do. And on top of that, talking about the sliding, you can actually slide after rolling, and you lose some momentum, but not all of it. So keep that in mind if you do want to go for some rolls. Okay, now about the wall kick thing. I am, of course, it's day one. I am experimenting with the wall kick, and I'm going to try and have on screen right here a clip of literally where I changed it. I saw this just one part in this random POI, and I'm like, I wonder if I can do a wall kick here. And I thought to myself, I probably can't. I played with press and hold jump to mantle, and that is how I was, mantling. The problem with the wall kick and mantling like that is a lot of times where you would do like a single jump, you're at the height where mantling something is very easy. A lot of things are very mantleable. The game is built to be mantled. So when you try to wall jump on that by pressing the mantle button, because they're both the jump button, you get a lot of accidental mantles. I swapped over to press forward to mantle. So now when I press the jump button, it only activates wall jumps, and I have to press W/forward to actually mantle onto something. Now this gives me less control over mantling. This is why the press and hold jump to mantle was always the superior option. But now with wall kicks, and I'm just going to play around with it. I might go back in the end, but I'm not advocating this whatsoever. I'm just letting you guys know what I am doing. Is I'm going to mess around with this and just see exactly how much better it is, because I certainly was able to get a lot more wall jumps after this. I'll show you guys, from this clip here, like the nice little 1-2 into the roll that I was able to get. Like, I thought that was really cool. And if you could ever use that in combat, man, like, just imagine how dope of a play you could make. And honestly, like, just, quickly, Epic, because I know you watch all my videos, very easy fix for this. You need to give us a mantle command, like a mantle button. Like, it can't just be an option. We need a bind. We need to actually be able to go into our keys and program a button to mantle. And then you can, of course, leave the other two options. I'm not saying get rid of them, but if I want to bind, say, like, Y to be the mantle button, I should be able to bind Y to mantle, so that when I press space, I'm not getting mantle. I can reserve space for wall jump and then Y for mantle, so that I have free control. And this is something that I've been asking for since I found out how Crash Pad Juniors work, that you can deploy them with a double jump, and that has gotten in the way of mantling. So for the longest time, I've wanted to be able to reprogram these double jump activation options that never should have been double jump activation to begin with. And for the actual how to win for this season, I feel like it's just shockingly simple, honestly. Don't rush the bosses if that's not your playstyle. If you're the kind of person to get down and drop at like the hottest POIs and kill all the people and get the best loot in the lobby, then you're probably a content creator, honestly. But if you're that good and you don't create content, start creating content. But if you're that good, regardless of who you are, keep doing you. You probably don't need my advice for anything right now. But this is not one of those seasons where you need to feel like it. This is not Chapter 5, Season 3, where you need to get the Nitro Medallion. And you really would like to get the Nitro Fists that are the Mythic and the Mythic Combat Shotgun, and like that gave you a significant advantage over the rest of the lobby. All you get are more charges and a pretty good SMG. It's not even the best gun in the game, in my opinion. I would probably just take any single mag AR over that SMG, and I think that's a great SMG too. It's a very serviceable weapon to have until you can find the single mag. But like, you really can't find a good loadout from anywhere right now. We have the god chests kind of all over the place. Regular chests are stacked. Like I mentioned before, the loot pool is not super diluted, so by just going around and looting a lot, you're gonna find a good loadout. I do like to land on the blade, the Typhoon blade, kind of whenever possible. But yeah, then just like loot as many chests as possible, try to get a stack of 6 shocks, then just, go get some boons, stack up kind of your whole inventory, get your boons. You can get the forecast tower. It's not like super necessary. If you can get a void mask, you really can move from zone to zone like pretty easily, but the forecast is never going to be a bad thing to have. The bosses die really quickly there too, so you can kind of get that like in and out very, very fast. Unfortunately, it doesn't give you very much in terms of loot. You're only going to really get the forecast tower, but it's still worth getting, I would say. And then from there, just play zone and play height. You can get the island boss, like if you really want, go for the infinite stamina medallion. I think that is worth it overall, but if it's a crazy lobby and just a there's a ton of people going up there, you can just kind of go up to those 5 islands and just kind of try and fight the people who are fighting the boss, and then pick away at the boss. People are gonna be flying up, and they're kind of easy to shoot off of the, you know, glider. You have to glide up to the island. There's no more rifting up to island. There's actually no rifts at all now I think about it in all of chapter 6 so far, unless an NPC can rift you, but I haven't heard the rifting sound effect once. You have to use the little Walters to either fly up there, and then once you're up to the island, you have to use, there's like an updraft kind of just around the whole island, so you just kind of jump off at any point and you go into an updraft. It's actually kind of nice from a rotational perspective, and it's nice that you're not getting jumped on by people. You know, if someone wants to come up and fight you, you get to choose, you know, when that fight takes place, and if you want to jump off yourself, you know, shockwave or void off or this or that. But yeah, very fundamental season. Beyond that, you know, just play high ground, play zone, watch out for other people kind of voiding around. Like, that's gonna be the easiest way for people to sneak around is with the void mask. So just watch out for that symbol, watch out for, there's a little sound effect, and just keep your eyes peeled for the little purple ball flying through the air. Play a vehicle whenever possible. You know, moving cover like that is always a good choice. There are no EMPs or boogie bombs or anything like that in the loot pool right now. Like, there's no anti-car mechanics other than simply blasting it with your AR. The single mag can really, like, not one clip it, but you can get a lot of damage given that it's hit scan right now. So cars really aren't super safe, but, you know, it's better than nothing, honestly. I would avoid the bikes, low-key. They're just too easy to get shot off of. You know, they're not bad if you're just trying to get from point A to point B, but I wouldn't use it around people or, like, as an escape or to approach your opponent if you respect them. Like, if you think they have terrible aim, then just go for it, you know? But these guns are very easy to shoot with, so I would not be driving around with zero cover around me. But yeah, just general tips. Just keep in mind, once again, I know I already said it, but like the first attack right now kind of means everything in the encounter. You know, with a single mag, you really can get anywhere from like 100 to 200 to just one clipping somebody very easily. Opening damage on somebody and then closing in with a katana kill is honestly my favorite way to play right now. You know, you can always switch to your close range option too if you run out of stamina. Like if you want to katana a little bit, you know, jump around, use the aerial attack. If you don't want to use all your stamina, or if you do run out, you know, you can switch to your shotgun or whatever else you have close range. It is a pretty good way to close the gap, you know. And then of course we have shockwaves or the void mask. There's a lot of ways that you can do that typical shoot, get opening tags, and if so, then you can, you know, close the gap. Another thing that I kind of forgot to mention earlier is with the void mask, because you can go so far away from the void ball itself, consider throwing the void ball and then going into combat, not the other way around. Almost like you leave yourself a respawn beacon somewhere on the map, you know, maybe put it in a bush, maybe put it behind a rock or behind a tree from the battle where someone isn't going to be looking at it necessarily. And then if you do get into a tough situation, you know, always keep in mind / watch on your, you know, screen to see exactly how many meters away you are from the ball. But, you know, you can then just teleport to it instead of having to throw it and teleport and having someone see where you throw it, being able to chase you down. Keep in mind that you can throw the void ball first and then go into combat. Overall too, with the void ball and shockwaves and the katana blade, I would say just keep in mind that, you know, this is a theory that I go off of. Feel free to abide by it if you'd like, but you have to kind of use your mobility on like a per skill basis. You know, the more confident you are in your ability to kill someone and take all their loot and refresh your mobility, you know, with like a new blade and more shockwaves or a fresh mask, that should be directly equal to how much you want to use your resources to kind of push around the map. You know, if you watch a lot of streamers and a lot of people play, you're going to see them using their mask all the time and using shockwaves all the time and using their blade all the time. If you watch me play, I'm not as good as a lot of people. So I'm going to be taking it a little bit more passively, a little more conservatively. I'm going to be kind of holding on to my resources, just using my sprinting and my sliding and things like that that are infinite, and saving my burst options and my more valuable options for when I feel as if I'm going to really need those to live. You know, mobility, even though we have a lot of it right now, it still is not the most plentiful thing or something that you kind of want to just like use freely and use sparingly. And now on the off chance that you are even less confident than I am in your ability to fight, then you're going to want to be less willing to use your mobility. Like really hold on to those 2 shocks, really hold on to that blade, try to not use all of your mask charges. The mask is actually kind of nice. You get 15 charges, which is a lot, so you can use a few of those here and there, but when you get to the end game and you only got 4 left, at that point, you know, you really do have to use it like shockwaves. However though, I do think that everyone who is here right now trying to learn should have immense immense confidence, as this season does seem relatively versatile already in your ability to choose if you want to play close range with the shotguns, SMGs, ARs, or the sword, or you can just play more medium range with the single mag and the red dot. And I'm very grateful that we don't have a long range sniper meta currently, and I hope they do not plan to add one. That would just ruin what we have going on right now, I really feel like. If you didn't like bullet drop or projectile, now you can use, hit scan AR, first or third person, so there really should be no excuses, as these are the easiest weapons to use since chapter 4, and maybe the easiest ever. And if you don't even want to shoot your gun, you can just go practice your sword play. The Typhoon Blade can single-handedly destroy opponents if used properly. Just remember, this is like any Fortnite season in that you don't want to play into your opponent's game, you want to play your game. And that is just as important of a concept as ever. There is no one way to play this game or to promise a winning strategy. The winning strategy in and of itself is to be fluid at all times. Your opponent wants a Typhoon Blade melee attack you, back up and shoot them with a spray weapon. Create distance and then blast them, or fight them off with a sword of your own. But don't just close the gap and try to 50-50 them while you both have full health. Does your opponent want to sit back and pick away at you with the single mag? Use the Void Mask, Shockwaves, Typhoon Blade, or any combination of those to try to close the distance and then attack them with a pump switch combo or the sword, whatever you choose. Are they trying some other random nonsense, driving around a vehicle, using the fireball auto tracking, trying to void around sneakily? Well, blow up the vehicle, run out of the way of the fireball, and just keep looking out for that symbol for the void, and any opponent who uses it should be kind of obvious. It looked like that little diamond shape, when you throw it, it's the same one that you'll see other people using it. There is currently counterplay to everything that we have in this season right now. There is nothing that it's like, oh, well, you need this to beat this, the same item, where maybe with like the Nitro Fist or the Jetpack, you kind of did need that over parts of the last chapter. So right now, I feel like we have a very balanced metagame. So if you just take typical shooter fundamentals into your game with you, into your mentality, you should have success. Pay attention to everything, don't ignore footsteps, cars, or any indicator that shows up on the visual, and just play at your own speed, whether you want to land at a boss POI and go crazy, or just drop at a small unnamed location and loot up slowly. Do it, There is no rush to acquire any extremely important one-of-one item from a boss or POI right now. So just do what you want to do, enjoy the scenery, smell the roses a little bit. Stack up whatever you can, whenever you can. All these little abilities help, forecast, water boon, wind boon, even the fire and void can be helpful. Get whatever you can, whenever you can, if possible. Don't worry if you don't get the perfect loadout. It's not needed to win at all this season. Always aim for a perfect loadout, however. For me, that is currently the Sentinel shotgun. We'll probably change this eventually, but right now it's the Sentinel. I use the single mag AR, the Blade, Void, Shockwaves, with all the boons and the medallions if I can get them. Play zone, play high ground. Don't let yourself get sandwiched. Play other players off of each other. Right shoulder peek is always strong, but remember that it is hit scan and it's easier than ever to hold a lane, so you can't just kind of peek right shoulder for free anymore. People are going to have bullets headed your way if they've already put damage on you. And honestly, my only advice from here is to have some fun. The game is so good right now, and I'm really, really happy that I actually have like the desire to make a lot of content for this chapter and season. Unlike the last 6 weeks or so where I just was not motivated whatsoever. The vibe after they took the jetpack out of chapter 5 was they kind of killed the rest of the chapter for me. So please stick around. We will be doing a lot more videos here. We've been streaming on Twitch primarily as a way to kind of mess around and just test the algorithm on YouTube by doing only uploads for videos. So I got my videos over here on YouTube. We will be streaming on Twitch, so please check out the description again if you want to get our Twitch link. Get notifications turned on for that as well. Twitch notifications are very good for when someone goes live, so please consider turning notifications on Twitch if you want to know when we go live. Turn them on here for when you want to see us upload some videos. And yeah, please consider comment what you think about chapter 6 so far. Give us a like. Thank you for making it this far. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Love you all, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.